Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Shayna Cersei, and I'm so excited to paint with you today for another day in our watercolor journals. Today we're going to be tackling a flamingo, which was requested by one of the commenters. So Dee, thank you for requesting a flamingo, because that is exactly what we are going to do today. So I am using my 6x9 Baohong watercolor sketchbook. This has 100% cotton paper, 140 pound cold press in here. I am using my Core mini palette. This has 12 core paints in it. Perfect for gives me a wide variety of colors in all of my primaries and a couple secondaries. I can pretty much make any color out of that palette. I also have a butcher tray here. This is a metal enameled butcher tray that I use just to mix larger puddles of color than in the top of my palette. And then brushes, I'm using or plan to use a 10, a 4, and a 2. These are all round brushes, 2 Velvet Touch and 1 Princeton Select brush. So we're going to get started. So I am going to go over colors real quick. This is just Quinacridone Magenta, watered down with lots of water. And then this one over here, this is Quinacridone Magenta with a little bismuth yellow. I really didn't want it to be orange, like when I mix magenta and yellow together, but I wanted it to have those orangey undertones. So that is what I have here. So just a little bit of yellow goes a long way. If you go too orange, you can always go back just by adding some more magenta, and then lots of water if you want to change the value, lighter or darker. I'll also be using some Payne's Gray and some Phthalo Blue-Green shade for some water and the details on the flamingo. So let's jump right in. I'm going to start with my lightest color with this magenta just to block out the shape of our flamingo. I'm using my size 10, and I am going to basically start with the body. So the body is kind of this sideways teardrop shape. And we're making this, nice and loose. I'm not getting into lots of super details in this, but this is basically the main body. It can be angled down. It can be angled more horizontally or upward, depending on how the flamingo is standing. And this is where, all the feathers kind of live, and then he'll have a long leg down here. Oh, I probably should have made him a little bit higher to get more water in here, but that's okay. All right, so now the neck. This is the trickier part. The neck starts out wide, so it's kind of like this wide mass here, and then it tapers off really quickly into this S curve. And I'm just going to make the curve. It comes back across the body a little bit, like this. I'm kind of going slow, almost sketching with my paintbrush, and then hooks all the way around this way. And then now that I've got the main shape in, the top of it is a little wider for where the head is. I can make the neck a little thicker if it needs to be. But there is kind of the neck and the main part of the head, and then the beak is going to be here. So I'm going to put my size 10 brush away for a second, and I'm going to pick up, oh, I'm so sorry, that was probably so loud in the microphone. I'm going to pick up my size 4, and I'm going to pick up a little of my yellow, so my bismuth yellow, and lots of water. And I'll even pull in a little of this magenta color, almost to make a tan like yellow, and lots of water. I want it to be really light, and this is what I'm going to start the beak with. So the beak is also kind of an odd shape. I'm going to start by putting like a cone kind of right here at the top where it meets the head, and then it kind of goes out this way and then takes a quick turn down to the point. So if you're more comfortable, you can definitely draw this out first if that is more helpful to you. And don't worry, we're going to put the black part on that really makes it look like a flamingo in just a few minutes, but we're kind of just setting up the base. So there is our beak. And then I'm going to use the same tan color for underneath my flamingo for that quintessential straight leg that's going to go down into the water. And I'm going to angle it this way ever so slightly because it does, we want to give that impression that that knee, like if they have a knee, I guess they do, they have this little spot right here, is locked, like they're standing up so tall and straight on this one leg. And it's going to kind of go right into the water here. We're not going to see the bottom of it. And then we can also create, if you want to not completely forget the other leg, but we can have it either tucked right up under, like it would go straight across here, or down a little bit as if they're just lifting it up. Or you could have a second one kind of down in the water next to it, but we're just going to put this one here. So you can see it's bent this way, but then like pulled up under our flamingo. So there we go. So then we have our base layer. And now we're going to start to add some more details to it. So I'm going to go back with some of this magenta and right around the body here, give it some darker shadows and some texture. Let me move this way a little bit. I keep hitting it with my arm to suggest feathers. So we're adding some texture to suggest some feathers. I'll put a little more of this color here. And I'm actually going to swing to the other side this way. And just blend this out. And you can get a lot more detailed if you wanted to, but I'm just going to keep this nice and loose. Drop in a little bit darker color right up here, and definitely on the underside. I'm going to add some of this to the top of that leg. And I'm going to let this all dry a bit. And then I'm going to go in and work on the beak a little bit. So I'm going to take this Payne's gray, you can see that tiny little bit, and I'm going to add the black to the tip of the beak. I have to relook at the picture because I don't remember exactly what the angle is. It's not that V shape. All right, I just looked at the picture and it's a little bit more, let me get some more Payne's gray out. It's kind of a V shape, but it's a little bit more rounded. And it's higher at the one side at the top. And it's rounded like that, and then there's like a tiny little black mark almost for the mouth. Like that. Beautiful. Okay, and now the eyeball. The eye is set up. I'm going to switch to my size 2. Hold on. All right, so the eyeball, and on this size, it's going to be really tiny, but it's like a bullseye within a bullseye. It's not like your traditional. So it's going to be a ring like this, kind of in this area. And then inside that is going to be a tiny little dot. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to build up some pink around it to make it more incorporated with some other colors. This we're going to let dry a little more so I can add a little more texture down here, but if I just keep adding color, it's just going to keep blending in and bleeding out because it's still very wet. So let's let everything dry, and then we can come back and add a few more details. Oh, I know what I can add right now. On the underside of the mouth here, it's actually pink. You just want to be careful, make sure that black is dry. Okay. Oh, I know what I can do also while that is drying, because these are very dry. We're going to go in and I'm going to add with some Payne's Gray some texture and shadows to these. So right here where this knobby knee is supposed to be, I'm going to give that a shadow. I'm going to go behind the leg. And then I'm just going to blend these out a bit, make it a little softer. And the same thing with this. On the underside. There we go. All right, so this is still very wet. Wow, it's really taking, I must have put a lot of water on there. Let's move on so I don't have to take a pause. This is going to dry really quickly. We're going to move on to just add some water to this. I'm going to take some Phthalo blue-green shade. I'm going to water it way down to get a really light color. And I'm going to add that. It's even way too dark. Let's add some more and more water. We'll kind of, I'm going to go right over the leg. Can always add those details back on again. I'm only going to go up to like here. I'm not going to go behind the whole flamingo. But we'll do like a gradient out this way. And then right around, just pull off color right there. Perfect. Right around the leg, I am going to add some ripples. I'm going to pull out some darker blue, add a little Payne's Gray to it. Still going to water it down. This is still wet and I want it to be, but I am just going to add in some light ripples, and then once they're in, I'm just going to blend. Actually, I'm going to add a little more color. Take a dry brush. And then I'm going to let it dry. As we get closer, whoops, switching back to my little brush, it's going to be a little darker here. There we go. All right, so we're going to let that dry. It's going to continue to kind of fade or blend out, wet on wet. You can help it if you feel like you need to. And I did mine on kind of this angle this way. Just adding a little bit darker color down on this right hand side and then blending it out and up. There we go. Okay, this is finally dry enough that I can add some more of this darker color. I'm just mixing more with the yellow and the magenta, that we can create some separation. So like this under part to the leg, I want to create a little separation there. And then this part here, the body and the neck. So this part underneath is going to be really dark. And then this top layer, I am just going to add the suggestion of more feathers textured. I'm just going to paint it all in a darker color. There we go. Maybe on the front here. Take a tiny bit of Payne's gray and just add it right underneath. There we go. All right, so let's just build up a little bit more around the face here and around the eye. I'm going to go around the bottom. Put this in shadow a little bit. And then also around the eye, there is, it seems to look like, flamingos look very angry. I will say the more photos, you don't always see like the close-up part, but the more photos I look at, I'm like, oh, they look very angry, like they have this furrowed brow over top of their eyeball. So we're just adding a little shading right up under the eyebrow there. And let's see, what else can I do? Just a little more shading on. I'm going to take that tan color that I had before over here that's still lingering, letting a little magenta kind of spill into it to make it a little darker. And I'm just going to kind of come up here under the underside of the beak, to make this a little darker, a little more three-dimensional, and then it gives kind of a highlight on the top, which is nice. I did pick up a little Payne's gray, got reactivated. It wasn't quite fully dry. I am going to forgive myself. All right, I think we are done. So there is our fun little flamingo. Definitely take a look at flamingos. What's in your head, unless you like are around them often. Maybe you're in Florida or another warm kind of tropical area where you see them really often. You really know what a flamingo looks like. I did not. I mean, I knew what a flamingo looked like. I could picture them in my head, but when it comes down to painting the details, I had no idea. All right, so thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out the description for links to supplies and materials that I use in my videos regularly. I have a water droplet here that's about to ruin the day. Check out the description. Like I said, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend who you also might think will enjoy a watercolor journey and journaling ideas. Thank you so much, and happy painting, y'all. See you for the next one very soon.